Hi everybody, thanks for joining. My name is Mike Bird and you are watching Forged in PowerShell, the single greatest YouTube channel dedicated to PowerShell today. I really appreciate you being here today. If you're watching my channel, this is my first video of many to come tied to PowerShell and how PowerShell can be a career building language. And over time, you'll better understand what I mean by that. But PowerShell at this point in time is so capable that it can be used in many different areas of computing. I assume that many of you are coming to this channel as IT professionals. However, there may be some seasoned developers that are also coming here who just want to better understand PowerShell, want to get more into maybe cloud engineering and administration. And PowerShell is obviously a great tool to enable, those features and capabilities at cloud scale to be able to make those things happen. So do appreciate you being here. I don't have there's not a script or anything like that I'm using here, so it's going to be pretty chill. Again, would love your support, love for you to subscribe, ring the bell so you can get new content or new notifications anytime content is available. So let's get right into it. So you may be asking, first of all, okay, why PowerShell? Why do I want to, seriously, I think about that is that, your time, especially as you get older, your time becomes an extremely valuable asset. When you're younger, you've got a lot of freedoms, but as you get older, you ultimately going to have more responsibilities that start to come down on you. Responsibilities are going to equate to time consumption. And so if you're going to put your time into something, it better be something that's going to return good value for you. And PowerShell is one of those tools that if you really put the time in, can really return in your own career going forward. There's a statement that I read from somebody not that long ago. I really liked it, that says that your boss may own your job, but you own your career. And you may be here just to get some PowerShell tips on some things you can do at your current job, and that's going to be important for your current job, which ultimately is going to build into your career. But remember is that I also hope you're here just so that you can get a better understanding for PowerShell, what its capabilities are. Hopefully you can leverage those at the position where you're at now, but if you can't, it's okay, right? Just use it as knowledge that you can take on. And if you want to do things on the side, or you want to look for new job opportunities somewhere in the future, you've got it there for you. So let's get right into it, okay? Microsoft originally developed PowerShell to run just on the Windows operating system, right? And they did this all the way up through version 5 of PowerShell. At that point, there were some changes that were happening inside of Microsoft and obviously across the industry in general. Computing today has become so ubiquitous that Microsoft had to get again, this was also, I think, under some of the new leadership with Satya at Microsoft. Microsoft had to get out of the business where everything was Microsoft or it's nothing at all. And so what Microsoft put themselves in a better position to stay on top of kind of this ubiquity that's occurring in computing, in saying that we want to be there really anywhere. We want to be anywhere where productivity is needed. And so Microsoft's own services that run inside of Azure, honestly, I think Microsoft probably has more Linux running than anybody else running a lot of their services today, right? So the beauty in PowerShell, especially since they forked it to run cross-platform, is that you can run it on both Linux distributions as well as Microsoft operating systems, right? Which is great. And so anyway, but Microsoft up through about version 5, it would only run on Windows systems. And then in version 6, this is when .NET Core came out. So PowerShell is dependent on .NET. And so that was the reason why they could not go cross-platform all the way up through version 5. At version 6, Microsoft had written .NET Core that could be compiled across multiple platforms and executed on those platforms, which then allowed PowerShell to now come forward. So you still have today, and I'll show you here. So today we still have basically two these are separate binaries of PowerShell running. Okay, so this is Windows PowerShell, which is what it's called now. It's been branded as Windows PowerShell, so that you know that it's the PowerShell version specific to Windows that goes up through about version 5. But we're not going to be really focused on that too much because Microsoft's not focused that much on it anymore. And so they've moved to, I think their latest is version 7. That's what we're going to be looking at. Version 5, you may still come across some stuff there where you need to support it, but again, there's not really much of a change. They're not 100% at parity between the version 6, version 7 that runs on .NET Core and version 5 that runs on .NET. They're not 100% at parity with each other, but they're pretty darn close at this point. So you should feel good kind of moving forward under the .NET Core flavor of PowerShell, right? So you can see here though on my screen, this is Windows PowerShell, and as a completely separate executable and binary, we have PowerShell 7. And so PowerShell going forward will be called PowerShell, and just so you know, that is the version of PowerShell that is cross-platform. Windows PowerShell is not cross-platform. It runs only on Windows, and so that's just something to be aware of. Again, we're going to be focused primarily on PowerShell that's cross-platform. That's what we're going to be focused on. So first of all, when you open up PowerShell for the first time, you may be asking yourself, okay, great, I've got another shell here. How do I get started? What's my first move here? And so there's just a little bit of time you want to spend in just kind of understanding how different capabilities and features are made available inside of PowerShell. And so if you want kind of what are the commands that are available to me inside of PowerShell? So all commands inside of PowerShell are really tied to things that are called, scripts or modules or commandlet binaries that may have been written in a native language like .NET. And so our first commandlet we're going to take a look at is get module. This will actually give us a listing of the modules that are loaded in our session, just when, again, this is without any new modules that have been added. This is just a plain Jane session that we've got here. And so our first command is going to be get module. So you can see we have two modules that are available to us, Microsoft.PowerShell.management, and then we have a PS read line script that has some commands also available inside of it. That's how commands are brought in, are through modules. And in the past there was other ways that modules could also be brought in, but that's really the method kind of going forward that Microsoft wants to support. So if we want to understand what commands are inside of a module, right? So our next command we're going to learn is called get command. And so we're going to say get command. I want to list specifically the commands that are available to me inside of this module, and we can tab complete that. And when I return this, you can see I've got a listing of the commands that are available to me inside of the management module. If you want to kind of filter this list down a little bit, you can even say, hey, I want to get just the modules that are get modules. So Microsoft has kind of standardized on kind of a verb-noun command syntax, right? So if you look at these modules here in front of you, or commands in front of you, you'll see that they kind of have a verb-noun syntax to them. So I want to get maybe initially just everything that is a get command, and so you can see a listing of just the get commands. And there's actually there's actually kind of a standardized set of approved verbs that you can use, even if you're writing your own commands, right? And so we'll talk a little bit more about that later. But you can see here, right off the bat, we have some things that are going to retrieve information for us, right? We're going to get information from some different things here. So I may want to start, first of all, on, hey, I want to list the running processes currently on my system. And so if you kind of look down through this list, you can see that one is called get process. And one of the great things with PowerShell, it's just a great kind of shell and language too, that it really helps with discovery, right? So you can just run this initially without any parameters to it, and we'll get a full listing back of all of the processes currently running on the system, right? We can see details as far as CPU utilization. We can see the process name itself. We can see the process ID. There's a whole bunch of information that we can see about this process that you don't see right here, and we'll talk a little bit more about how we get to some of that data here coming up. The single best command that you will probably ever learn, and you'll use this all the time, even as a seasoned veteran inside of PowerShell, is the help command. Help is absolutely fantastic in PowerShell, and it will provide you all of the information you need to better understand a command, how to run it, what's the output from that command. It'll even give you examples as to how to run the command using different parameters, right? So it's extremely simple to do this. You simply type help and then the actual command that you're interested in learning more about. So let's take our get process, okay? So we're going to say get process, or help get process. As you can see right off the bat, we have the name, we have a synopsis, we have the different parameters, okay, that can be run to help change capability of the command itself or filter results potentially on what's being returned. We have a description, and then we actually go into the parameters. These are all the different parameters that you can use with that command. Honestly, the best part of help is right here at the bottom, which is my example list, right? So you can see these examples here. Here's example 1. I want to get a list of all active processes on the computer. Get process. Great. I want to get a specific set of processes. You can see that right here. And then we're going to talk through this pipe right here a little bit. We're going to talk a little bit more about that here in some coming videos also. But this is how we take output from one command and pass it to another command. Okay, so we're taking the output from a get process, and then we're passing that to format list, which is going to allow us to format that data a little bit before it gets returned. And so help is your best friend, and you'll use it. Get started with it immediately, and having myself been inside of PowerShell for quite a few years now, I use it all the time. If I just want to quickly better understand what a command is doing, how I use it, what its capabilities are, those types of things, right? So this is, again, just a quick introduction to PowerShell. We're going to now start, I'm going to start putting together now new videos around specific areas of PowerShell that we can focus on. But initially, I just wanted to give you a brief introduction to PowerShell, why you should learn it, and just some very early commands that you can run to help you understand, hey, I want to get a listing of all the processes that are on my system and their status. I want to get a listing of maybe the services. And most importantly, I want to know how to use the help system so that I can better understand how a command operates. Thanks for watching today. Look forward to the next video and seeing you back here again. Thank you very much.